Terrariums come in all shapes and sizes, and this one is definitely a change from the usual. I'm pretty sure its original design was a jewellery box, but this is going to be perfect for a mini terrarium. Being 22cm by 13cm and only 6cm deep, options are limited for what will fit inside this terrarium, but that's part of the fun. So join me as we convert this jewellery box into a mini terrarium. Let's get skipping. As with all terrariums, the substrate layer is still the most important part. Normally it would consist of a stone layer and a barrier layer, followed by the actual substrate itself. But due to the limited space, I'm going to skip the stones and the barrier layer. Instead, I'm using a standard substrate mix with some extra lava stones mixed in. I added enough substrate to fill in about half of the terrarium. I needed to make sure I still had enough room to put the plants in and close the lid. With the substrate in place, it was time for the hardscape. I had a few pieces of small dragonstone, no more than 6cm in length, that'd be perfect for this terrarium. The textured dragonstone would enhance the look and give places for plants to grow. I added the first piece before making sure the lid could still close, and then added in the rest in a scattered fashion. I didn't add any extra because I didn't want to overcrowd the terrarium with just the rocks. I still needed plenty of room for the plants and any additions I wanted to make, and with the hardscaping done, I can turn to the plants. I had just picked up a selection of plant cuttings that would work great in this terrarium. I had 4 cuttings I was going to use for this terrarium. They were the Polynesian ivy, the peacock moss, a creeping fig, and an oak leaf creeping fig. These cuttings have already started to grow new roots, so I can easily just put them straight into the soil and let them get to work. I placed the peacock moss first as it had the larger ground area to cover. This plant shouldn't gain much in height but should spread out nicely across the area. Next up was the oak leaf creeping fig. This one came with a natural curve to it, so when looking at the terrarium, I thought it fitted perfectly circling this rock. For the other creeping fig, I had 2 long strands of this, and the best place I could see to place it was at the back of the terrarium. This would give it the best place to grow while using up plenty of the empty void. And the final cutting is the Polynesian ivy. Unlike the other ones I've put in so far, this one is actually going to gain in some height, so I'm going to have to make a lot of cuttings or just see how it grows. To stimulate root growth from the bottom, I planted these ones with the cuttings into the soil. That does it for the actual plant cuttings, but I still think there's more to do with this terrarium. I can add in a little extra hardscape and a few mosses just to really make it shine. But even now I'm quite happy with how it's turning out. The addition of spiderwood is a simple and effective way to give the terrarium a more natural look. It's really easy to create the look of roots or fallen wood with just small pieces of spiderwood. I added several pieces of varying sizes around the terrarium, just placing them where it felt natural, in and around objects and around other plants. Final piece to bring it all together was adding some moss. I added club moss to the areas around the dragonstone, making use of the natural holes and gaps within the stone itself. Moving on to the middle part, this area was seeming kinda barren from plants, so I turned to some thyme moss. This moss grows out like a carpet, so it's perfect for covering areas like this. I once again just placed down several pieces, making sure to cover all the areas I needed. And finally, with the last piece of dragonstone, I returned back to the club moss, putting in small pieces in and around the stone just like the first one. I didn't need to cover every inch of exposed soil because the plants I put in should grow themselves and cover all those areas. And with the moss finally in place, I can call this terrarium done. While this is a very simple and straightforward build, it's just an example that you can really use any type of container for a terrarium. This turned out quite well and I'm happy that I was able to use cuttings for it. They'll be able to grow into bigger plants and hopefully I'll be able to keep reusing them for other projects. I know this video is quite a bit shorter than my usual ones, but really I didn't have much more to show. As I said, this was a simple build with very simple materials. And just an update for the channel, at this time I'm currently trying to move house, so unfortunately I can't really spend a lot of time building big projects because they have nowhere to go. So I hope you stick with me over the coming months while I'm moving house. I will try to keep some videos going, but they may be on the shorter side just like this one. Anyway folks, I hope you've all enjoyed this quick video. Maybe you've been inspired to create your own miniature terrarium. Make sure you drop a comment below just to say hi. And until next time guys, keep creative and keep scaping.